This episode of the Submerged Podcast is brought to you by Monsoon Aquatics.
Welcome back, everyone, for another episode of the Submerged Podcast, deep dives and Aussie vibes. I've got Sam Philp with me. How are you, Sam?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Yourself?
Good, mate.
That's good.
Unfortunately, we don't have Sam Parker with us today. It's his daughter's birthday. So happy birthday, Ruby.
Yeah, we'll let you off on that one, Sam.
Yeah. And if you're listening, Ruby, Dad said that he got you a puppy or he's taking to Disneyland or something like that. So
Yeah. I heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy
that. But we do have a pretty cool replacement for Sam today. We have Matt from Coastal Clownfish. Welcome, Matt. How are you doing?
G'day, fellas. How are we?
Good, mate. Doing
Good,
well.
mate.
That's good. I actually heard Sam promising a pony, but
Yeah. Yep, that one
I'm
too.
sure she'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah, it should be over the moon. Yeah.
Be great in the backyard.
Might mean you have to give away the reef tank to keep up with the pony.
Yeah, frag more corals, mate. Get on it.
Yeah. Yeah, good to have you on, mate. We've been talking for a little while about getting you on, and we had you down here in Sydney not so long ago for the bus tour, which is a great event, and you put up some cool clownfish that Mariah actually won and took home. So yeah, it was good to catch up, mate.
It's always great to catch up with everyone in the industry and give back where we can. That's what probably it's all about, I'd say.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think with everyone that's kind of jumped in on this podcast just to talk or even do a prize giveaway or something, the general consensus with everyone is like they're just wanting to give back to the hobby a little bit and just, feel everyone kind of, it's a family at the end of the day. Like we're all in it together.
It's a big community.
Well, it's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah. It is hard at times. I get that, but yeah, the more we try hard, the better it is, right?
I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Before we get too far into the episode and talk about Matt and his business, we have to give a massive shout out to East Coast Corals for doing their little prize giveaway during the week. Chris Dagger there at East Coast Corals gave away 3 prize packs. We had a cool little pop quiz thing going on there, which was a bit of fun. There was a few people that were real quick, like a couple of minutes, and they were onto it.
Oh, it was crazy. I was tracking it minute by minute, and it was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
People are on it.
So congratulations to Salty in the Sticks, Troy Millers, and Casey Zweggers. They all take home a East Coast Corals, I think, a trace pack and some supplements and stuff as well. So, yeah, I'm sure you guys will love it. Thanks for jumping on board and being a part of the pop quiz. And again, thanks to Chris at East Coast Corals for putting the prizes up.
Yeah, and share your goodies. Show us online, catch some photos of what you got and how you're using them.
Yeah.
Share the love.
Now, Matt, you actually reached out to me during the week saying, I love the trivia side of it, but give me a crack at it. I want to test your knowledge this week. I've got something for you. So I believe you've got something together for us to try and get a point each here.
I actually do. And one of the main reasons for reaching out is I don't want to have to answer the question. So you guys are it this week. So I thought I'd sort of try to break this up into like a 2-part question. So just in case between the 3 of you guys, and if Hadley comes back on, that there's a tie somewhere down the track, the second part of the question will be worth half a point.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Now, there's much talk about how long clownfish live. And what the question is, how old is the longest or the oldest recorded clownfish that is in captivity? Obviously, it's captivity because, well, if it's in the wild, you'll never know. So it's in captivity. It is recorded as of the end of 2025, going into 26.
So it's still alive now.
It is still alive, yeah.
Far out. Okay.
And it's still breeding.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting. I know I've seen a couple of pairs of clowns that have been 22 years old. So I might have just so I know it's older than that. But I'm not going to share any more just in case Jared thinks he's on it. But
yeah, I'm having a stab in the dark. I'm going to say, I reckon they're pretty old. I reckon I'm going to say they're probably 35 years old. Just a random guess.
I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go 42 years.
Wow.
You know, you guys are pretty. Listen, you're close, but considering clownfish, you wouldn't think they'd last that long, really, even in captivity. But the longest recorded clownfish is 50 plus years old. Now I think it's 52. Yeah, I think it's in a breeding facility called ORA overseas.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and it has been posted out in the past, and people, calling it's not true, but you can Google that, and it will be on Google. That's where I found it. Now for half a point though, right? I was trying to include Sam Parker in this, but I thought I'd let him off, and have enjoy the birthday. But the half point, can anyone tell me what type of clownfish this is? This is for half the point. And I would have to say Sam's got the point so far because he's closest to it.
You. All right. Do you want me to go first? Yeah, you want me to go first? All right. I'm going to go a pair of maroon clowns, not like your standard Ockies or Perculas. I'm going to go maroons, just a purebred maroon pair.
Yeah, I'm going to lock in Ockies, I think.
Okay. So Sam's once again closest. Okay, the oldest is a female maroon. I think it's a gold stripe maroon.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it's 52 years old, and it's pretty decent. You're in for the long haul if you have yourself a healthy clownfish these days. So, as we know, most of the livestock within an aquarium dies from human error. Whether it be fault of maintenance or electrical faults or equipment faults, but that's proof that clowns do last a long time, and probably for most people outlives their owners. So well done, Sam.
Thank you.
You scored yourself 1.5 points for this episode, and I'm tipping that's going to be unless someone else comes up with a half a point question, then
might be the half I need.
It might be the half you need.
How good. That's unreal. That's crazy to think, though, that these fish are around for 52 years. Like, you're taking on a lifelong job when you pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You think that with, dogs that live nowhere near that, birds, which can live a fair while. I'm just more curious about how old they live in the wild, because you can age fish. I've aged fish before, but I'd be very interested to know some bit of research.
This way, you're a 30-year-old man and you take on the hobby, you've got that fish till you're 80.
Well, sometimes if you're a 30-year-old man, you take this hobby on, you're 10 years down the track, you're really a 60-year-old man, aren't
you? Yeah.
It can sometimes age you pretty quick.
It does.
You'd be taking that clown to the grave with you, maybe. Who knows?
It'll be at your funeral.
That's crazy.
It's horrible, but yeah.
Wow.
Nice trivia, mate.
Yeah,
well done.
Good. Thanks, Matt. I'll take those points.
So the episode, the reason why we've got Matt from Coastal Clowns on, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about what you do, but the episode today is about breeding, and that is probably the core of your business there. Maybe give us a bit of a rundown on what Coastal Clownfish do, and maybe even how long you've been going for and all those things as well. And so I'm sure most people know either you or know the business. For those who don't, give us a bit of insight.
Yes. Okay. So Coastal Clownfish has been established back in 2018. We established Coastal Clownfish because I was doing a lot of maintenance. I had a maintenance business, and a lot of it was through Sydney customers, so to speak. So I got to sort of know a lot of the shops and so forth, and there was a lot of talk of the quality of the clownfish that were coming in over the years. And when I say the quality, I mean like the cleanliness. And there was reports being said to me that when they import fish in and they get their clownfish, a mass amount of losing them in the shop. So when we moved up to Foster, and by the way, we are based in Foster, we sort of were able to set up some kind of facility, so to speak. Originally, it was like a man cave, but everything gets out of hand. You sort of, there's like, you get one tank and you get multiple tanks, and you just keep growing. So I wanted to be part of the industry, even though I was already part of the industry with maintenance. And I have been somewhat in the industry for 30 plus years. Yeah, right. Since I was like 16, as a hobbyist at the time. You sort of see a lot of things change throughout the decades, and one of them was the quality of the fish. And it was just a decider to try to do something where it betters the environment for our industry. And the main idea was to bring healthier fish so they don't have to be imported. It was great to be able to contribute to the sustainability of the wild caught clownfish. That sort of, although that is still part of it, with the amount of people somewhat overseas throughout the world breeding clownfish, that sort of has been taken care of quite considerably for most parts of the types of clownfish. But for Australia, we kind of had an issue within shops of the quality of the clownfish bringing in overseas with disease. It is much better these days, but that was one of our key things of trying to create a sustainable breeding program that has the quality clownfish and the disease-free clownfish that a lot of people overseas experience, because there's a lot going on overseas, and they do very good quality stuff. But by the time they all come over here, there's a lot of stresses and so forth. So to not have those stresses would not impact the health of the fish. So that was the main reason for starting Coastal Clownfish, and it wasn't meant to be what it is today. So it's a bit like, you have one fish tank and then you've got a whole room of them and so forth. It was no different for Coastal Clownfish. We just decided to get a couple of standard clownfish, and we spent, I think, a full year trying to do it without anyone really knowing, just for ourselves, so to speak. And once we figured it all out, I thought, Jade came up with a bit of a name and a logo, and it kind of stuck. And we just grew from there. At the time, I didn't have any idea what a designer clownfish was. And so I had to learn all of that as well. Not to mention, I'd never bred a fish, whether it be freshwater, in my entire life. So
that was going to be my next question.
Yeah, it's all self-taught. And one of the benefits about being self-taught is you're not getting the answer. You're getting that whole journey. And I get asked so many times from people about how do I do it and what am I doing wrong and so forth. But I'm reluctant to tell them because, number one, it's kind of business suicide, and you're just helping an opposition, so to speak. So that's kind of counterintuitive as far as business side of things. But that journey, like I could tell someone every single step, and I have done overseas. But when something changes, they don't know what to do. And it all blows up and they can't recover from it. And that's not the idea of it being sustainability, because you want to do it as a long-term type of venture.
Sure. And it's funny because I've only come on the scene probably about the same time that Coastal Clownfish started. So I've only ever owned Coastal Clownfish. So the quality that I've looked at previous to that, I was totally unaware of. And obviously I've only owned your Coastal Clowns and absolutely love all of them. But yeah, before then, I'm glad you've replaced what we used to have, because I think you've changed the whole space in the Australian market. So for clownfish anyway, so.
Well, that was definitely an aim and a goal, so to speak. And it wasn't even really at the start a goal for it to be a business that was able to sustain a lifestyle. It's very misleading, the kind of lifestyle, for instance, a clownfish breeder would lead. By no means you're doing money angels. It's definitely not like that at all. And we live very budget conscious for the reason, well, there's not. We know the cost of living in Australia, and it's a lot of clownfish you've got to sell and breed to get your average wages up for 2 people solely breeding just clownfish. It's a very niche, narrow window we're in because we just do clownfish. So that's a lot of clownfish you've got to try to breed, sell, and market to break 2 average wages for the year. So it's not even close to that.
A massive leap as well for you guys, because obviously the cost to set up this facility and source your brood stock and everything is considerable amount. So you obviously went out on a limb with the business.
Well, that was obviously it's only worth what someone puts in, but like over the course of, say, the 8 years, even the 9 years from the time we started it, if you were to tally up the amount of money you spent through research and development, getting all your brood stock, going through, which a lot of people go through, crashes and so forth, and having to restart again, that tally goes up. Now you're looking at least a $40,000 a year venture, just running. That's without building. So it's very misleading when people look at, say, for instance, us at a show and we've got all these clownfish in a tank and they go, "Wow, this is mad. This is great. They're probably going to make a lot of money from this." Sure, but the following week or the following month, you might make nothing. So you've got to it's business, and you've got to very carefully budget how you let fish out, so you have that stream of income and that roll-on effect as they take 3 to 6 months to grow.
Yeah. And are you supplying all of Australia now? You're in every state now?
We have the ability. So we're doing Queensland, obviously New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania. We have done a ship, doing Tassie as well. We have done WA. So, but I think Northern Territory probably haven't ventured up there. I don't know if there's anyone up Northern Territory with saltwater. I don't know how hard or easy to be to do saltwater up there.
Just plenty of crops.
Pretty much.
How many shops are you looking at in total now, you think?
Oh, wow. I'd have to, on our database, it'd have to be at least 30.
Yeah.
Probably not so much as active as some. I've got some absolutely amazing customers. Yeah. When I say Jade and I and Coastal have some absolutely amazing customers, and for no minute at all are we thinking that we take it for granted that these customers are always going to buy from us, because it could turn the other way at any time. So I'm very customer service orientated from my background, and it's important for Coastal Clownfish to realize that when a customer, whether it be a retail customer or a shop, it's their money being put back into the Australian economy. And that is extremely crucial. They don't have to choose a Coastal Clownfish. It's a bonus that probably we're in a position where the fish are a very good quality fish, but that can also be spoilt by how the customer is dealt with as a customer. And both Jade and I are extremely appreciative of not just the social media support but also the customer support who anyone is willing to fork out their hard-earned money to purchase any coastal clownfish, because I know the cost of living these days, and it isn't easy. And an aquarium is a want rather than a need. So they don't necessarily need to have a fish, but they want a coastal clownfish, and that's pretty special as far as Jade and I are concerned. So we talk all the time about this sort of thing, and we love meeting up with people. This is one of the reasons I love going to these shows, because I get it's probably the one chance I get to see people within the industry, because we're pretty segregated up here as far as saltwater industry. There's not a lot going on up here, so it's important to get out mentally and to show face for coastal clownfish in the community.
Yeah.
And I think it goes both ways as well, because I think you show the support of, the stores and the everyday reefers, and they respond the same way, because I think you guys are always first to put your hand up for shows. Doesn't matter where it's located, you travel, you'd put up prize pairs, you're always keen to just get on it, which is unreal. So shout out to you and Matt, and you and Jade, sorry. That's unreal.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, listen, it is important to get into that routine of giving back, because it's got absolutely nothing to do with the whole advertising, so to speak, because some people just don't have that opportunity to get a coastal clownfish. And it's important that everybody in Australia have the opportunity to witness and see and have the opportunity to own a coastal clownfish, as far as we're concerned. Otherwise, what's the point of doing this? I don't want to have all these fish just for myself. There's only so many fish I need. So, and a lot of people on our socials see how many fish we actually do have. And that's only part of it. That's the fish that are pretty much ready to go out. So it's very hard to sometimes keep up with who's who in the game, and the demands of needing a coastal clownfish or wanting a coastal clownfish. So, but we definitely try. If it means sometimes we need to branch out and give those that might not have the opportunity to get their hands on them.
Yep. So you've been in business now for, what is it, 8 years or so, 7-8 years?
Officially 8 years. Yeah, we're in our 9th year officially as registered coastal clownfish.
What anyone who has had a business prior to 2020, when the world went into meltdown with COVID, I always think, like, what are some of the major challenges that you've had with your business in that time?
Wow, COVID was amazing for our industry in Australia. It could not have probably gone better for a lot of people. There was a lot of free money in Australia, thanks to the government, and there's a lot of free time because people were stuck at home. Unfortunately, I wasn't so lucky to be stuck at home. I was classed as a what do they call those? The people that had to go to work.
Like an essential
workers. Yeah, I was part of the essential worker with the job I was doing at the time. So I'm still working, although not full time now. Back then I was almost full time. So I still had to go to work. But we missed out on the opportunity of the COVID break. We, through a few mistakes probably that I made, and not recognizing the need to upgrade a lot of our systems at the time, it was probably just caught us out as a new realm for us to get in, with fish coming through, more fish coming through, and it sort of caught us out. And with ammonia spike after ammonia spike, and the way I was mixing water, I was creating ammonia, not on purpose, obviously, but so I was actually dumping ammonia. And anyway, so we had a massive crash in 2020. Yeah, it was actually pretty horrible. We were on high from a lot of doing a show that Sam had done, Sam Parker had done, called Fragstock. We kind of really fell from grace, which probably done us a world of good, really. Because the worst thing is, you just think, sometimes you think yourself, too lucky and maybe start to go to that egotistical thinking. So it was actually probably a blessing for us. And I say it all the time, maybe we weren't ready at the time to be where we are now. So it was lessons learnt. Yes, and we lost pretty much all fish, bar about 40% of our 40% of our brew stock. So
Wow.
we're lucky to save a lot of our originals, but we were pretty much whatever was surviving, we were just scraping together to try to put some brew stock together. They ended up being quite nice fish, believe it or not, but and we've still got a lot of them still. So we're very lucky with that we had those genetics from the fish that we may have lost. But at the end of the day, it set us back probably 18 months, 2 years, and we flew under COVID, and I started what I always say, a dodgy YouTube channel, to try to cover the fact we had no fish to sell. And we're also very lucky with our road freight and the airports sort of alternately shutting down, and so there was plenty of legit excuses I could use for not being able to send fish. So, but I'm saying that the stresses were high. It was probably the very worst thing that could happen, because I was so hyper focused on coastal to the point that outside of Coastal Clownfish, I've lost about 3 years of memory of Matt Bates. I literally cannot remember my life outside of Coastal for around about 3 years of it. So I don't know exactly where that was, but I was so focused on Coastal and so in tune with Coastal, wanting it to grow and so forth, that it's became obsessive, and not everybody understands that. And my family, my direct family on my side, probably didn't understand it so much until my parents came up holidays a couple of years ago to stay with us, and they sort of walked in and went, "Oh, okay." Now I kind of get it, where I wasn't able to go down to see them as much. And, I miss funerals, I miss birthdays, I miss weddings, I miss so much in the time with Coastal. It was borderline selfish. I lived in a box for the last 8 years, so to speak. If it wasn't fish related, it was just like it was a fish gym or work, and so unhealthy lifestyle. But I had to do what I had to do to get to where we are to now.
Yeah, well, laser focused.
Oh, it was, and I'm so lucky. We do have a good friend group, and as far as those on our on coastal side within the industry, we're pretty close up here to all of Jade's family, and they're next level. They're pretty amazing. They've been very supportive and come in and help us, and where they can, just so we can get one or two nights out together, because we haven't had a holiday together for 9 years.
Yeah, wow. Takes its toll. That's unreal.
Oh, big time. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. What about any other challenges that you've had? Like, obviously that's COVID and related to that, and getting this business where it is today. I do remember seeing some stuff about like your electricity or your battery backups or something along those lines. Are there been other massive hurdles that you've had to?
Yeah, well, because we're classed up in Foster, we're kind of classed as somewhat rural, and they don't have a good success rate with the steady electricity. So it's kind of pretty crucial in the industry we're in.
Yeah, 100%.
So I found that out the hard way. That was probably just around the similar time of COVID, where we actually had it was a part of the combination of the whole downfall of that era, where we had a lot of condensation, and we believe it tripped out a safety switch. But only tripped out half of it, so we didn't know that it was tripped out. We believe it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and by the time we woke up, it was too late. Those things were just. And that's probably one of the things that probably really started this onslaught of what we need to do and the hurdles. Because if these sort of things happen, and they keep happening, well, as far as I'm saying, it's your fault. You haven't done anything to fix it. So I put in place a lot of processes to stop that. I got ourselves a self-starting generator to sustain a blackout, auto switch on and off, and one of the things where if you don't know that you got a blackout, you can't do anything about it. So I set up an SMS
Alerts.
module, to let me know. So I pretty much know straight away when we've had a blackout. But also I put a computer monitoring system on. It was an Aquatronica, and you can preset this thing to for temperature low, temperature high, flow controls. So if anything dips between any levels, it'll alarm and turn off a plug, and that plug turns off the SMS module. It sets a horn off, so everything goes off. You cannot if you don't know it's happening, there's something hasn't gone off properly. But you sort of know pretty quickly, so you can sort it out. And we've been very lucky since having that there haven't been too many problems. We did actually have, only last year, we had a blackout, and it went for 2 or 3 days. And lucky for us, we got the generator, but the I had to put a new starting battery in it, and I believe it was a faulty battery, because on the second day we just gone out to start the day out there, and all of a sudden the generator just shut down from a low battery, and it's like the battery was only 6 months old, and
That's not what you want.
It's not, because like I don't have a backup generator. So at what point does this have to stop having backup stuff? You know what I mean? So I don't mind having backup pumps, and so I've got backup pumps, air pumps and water pumps and stuff like that here. But when you start having having to have a backup generator for your backup generator, it starts to get a bit ridiculous. So I was very lucky to run around town and find someone that's got a little portable generator and to get a new battery. But the fish were out of power for a solid 2 hours, and it's probably the longest they've been without power since starting it. So we didn't know what the end result was going to be, but listen, lucky enough, there was no deaths. There's no ill effects from it all. So, but it was so strange to have the place dead quiet for 2 hours. It was almost like this doesn't feel right.
You must hear that noise when you go to sleep, hey? Just like bubbles.
You're so used to it. It's like I've probably had the water noise and bubbles and pump humming and stuff like that for the last 30 odd years. So to sort of have nothing and it's dead quiet and dark, it's like, wow, is this what it would be like if we shut Coastal down and had a normal life? It's
what kind of life is that without the bubbles?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's I think it's one of those things that's sort of in you. It's not always about what you actually want. It's when you're ready to say enough's enough, because you can't go bailing out of doing stuff like this if you're not ready, because you're just going to regret doing it or regret bailing out of it. So it's one of those things that we talk about quite often, and we make that conscious decision to continue for as long as we can. And there's no sign yet for us bailing out, but the breakdown of electricity supply is quite something you've got to overcome here. I mean, in this area. And listen, for the most part, a lot of people need to sort of overcome that as well. They might have backup batteries through their solar, but these sort of programs draw a lot of electricity. And your backup battery and solar can only sustain so much. So shy of spending 50 grand on some kind of backup system that's going to last continuously. But battery's only good for 10 years or so these days, or what have you. So you got to replace that. But realistically, it's just been the whole electricity supply. It's been having enough gear on hand for breakdowns. And then it's just the business side is just making sure you've got enough gear, because I try to run enough gear for at least 6 months worth of operating. So whether it be food for rotifers, food for the fish, whether it be frozen food, pellet food. Also, you need a lot of other supplies like elastic bands, bags, air, oxygen for the packing and so forth.
Water too. That's pretty crucial.
Water, water. Like I think I got asked by Eric from the Water Drop during the week how much water we've been through, and I do as a quick calculation, I'd say since we started, be at least 300,000 liters of water we've been through, and I'm very lucky. Yeah, it adds up. It adds up, and that's probably not even a lot really, because a lot of shops they go through a lot more, and we've got 3 systems, and shops really go on a lot more systems and literage than what we do. So it sounds a lot, but even back in the day, we didn't have as many systems as we do now. We didn't get through as much water as we do. So I guess now. So that's just collecting water. That's not for instance, tap water or your fresh water source or mixing salt or whatever you got to do. But that's just collecting water, and I collect the water myself. So I think that time through COVID where we had the massive crash, I think I went through 6,000 liters in 2 weeks, and there wasn't a lot of time to sleep when you're working nearly full time as well and trying to deal with all that sort of junk. It's pretty stressful times, but it's good to be able to speak about that now. But back when it happened, it took probably a couple of years to be able to properly talk about it without it was a very tough time. So even I had a chat to I think Morgs and Sam Parker back at the opening of Rooftopia, and that was a struggle to talk about it. So it's nice to sort of you're past that emotional connection of where you were, because you put so much money and so much effort and your whole life on hold, your sacrifices for everything, that when that sort of thing happens, it's like for me it was like losing family. You really put that much into it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Like, and I think a lot of people can, like, to some extent, like a lot of people have gone through issues and crashes and stuff, and it really does kind of hit you in the heart, right? Like it is kind of like losing someone loved to you, that you almost can't talk about it, and you love it so much that you kind of like, well, I can't throw it away either, so I've just got to kind of get on with it.
Yeah,
you're kind of in too deep. The whole thing, you're in too deep. You spent too much money. It'd be a waste to throw it all away, and you pick it up and keep rolling with it.
Exactly right. Yeah. The question I had for you was, so obviously you started with the basics, like you said before, and what we know now is you've got a massive assortment of designers and stuff as well. When was the point where you said, I think we should take this to the next step and start doing designers, and like how did you get there? And what did you start with, kind of thing?
Yeah, this is quite a crazy story. I remember I was on my way back from Sydney. I used to go to Sydney for 1 week out of the month, doing maintenance. Had like 26 amazing customers down there. I'd had it for a long time, and I'd knock them over out in the whole week, and then head back up home. And I remember on the way back up home, and Jade had called me, and she was taking care of our Instagram at the time. We didn't really have Facebook as far as Coastal. We just had Jade had started Instagram, and she was following a girl from Tasmania. I think Aqua Girl, I think her name was, and she was doing a bit of breeding here and there, and she had quite a big following, a strong personality, and she apparently was wanting to get out of the whole clownfish. It's taking up too much time, whatever had happened, and she offered us a pair of designer clownfish. I think one of them was a Darwin, and the other one was a frostbite, and they were known as Ink & Co. Oh. Now, Ink & Co. Was probably more of a pet to her, and I wasn't really that interested in going down that avenue. We weren't really settled on doing something on even close to a commercial sort of stage at all. And Jade said, oh yeah, she's offering us Ink & Co. I said, oh yeah, okay, how much you want for Ink & Co? And at the time, I think it was like $1,200. Right, and for the pair, and we were in no position whatsoever to spend that sort of money on a pair of clownfish. It's like back then it was just ludicrous, when you can just buy a pair of Ockies from a shop for $70 or whatever they were going for. So I said, "Oh, listen, I don't think that's a good idea. Bit risky. I don't really know nothing about designers, but wait till I get up home and we'll have a look at it." And I remember I said to her, "Listen, throw out $600 with free freight and from Tasmania, and we'll go for it." And she went for it. So that was the start of the designer. And the funny thing is, Sam, your snowflakes, original snowflakes, were from Ink & Co.
Oh, were they?
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Ink & Co was such an amazing put together pair of clownfish with the genetics. I don't know where the frostbite history came from before Aquagirl, but we had Ink & Co for a number of years, and we were able to collect a handful of her babies. Mainly because of the genetic side of things. Once I started getting more involved with understanding what a designer is and what it takes and the market for it, we sort of said, okay, let's start trying this selective breeding. And there used to be an app for genetic clownfish. You can put, say a frostbite and a Picasso together or something, which would create a hybrid. But it'll pump out what they think the offspring will be. Knowing what we know now, it was probably quite, to a certain extent, it had some accuracy to it, but there were some flaws in it, and for whatever reason, I'm not continuing anymore. But the genetic side of Ink & Co was amazing, and we got a handful of absolute cracking frostbites out of it. Lost a lot through our crash, but managed to keep a couple of her offspring, direct offspring. So they are still producing some pretty crazy frostbites these days, and we're probably in the area now where we're going to start looking at what we can put together to help with the supply and the demand in Australia, because we're not getting enough snowflakes and frostbites coming through, and we need to start looking at trying up the quantity of them, because they're quite a bit of demand on them ones. But that was the start of our designer travels, and then we got asked about an ex-breeder in Queensland. There was two guys, some of those older guys in the reefing community will remember photon flake clownfish, and I think they're called, and they were sort of it in Australia as far as designer clownfish. They were really pumping out some nice stuff, and they separated, and I was offered a handful of ex-clowns from one of the partners. One of them, I believe, is one of the first Picassos in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Which is nice to know, and so it's always good to know a bit about your background of some of your fish that you're breeding, because like it pays dividends to understand where they're from, how far down the line they are, because that's part of the selective breeding of where you want to end up with your offspring. So it was good to sort of speak to guys that had some knowledge and gather some fish that had some sort of history. So but that's pretty much where a lot of our designers came from. We didn't get a lot of designers as far as starting. All the designers we do now are from in-house. So we only had pretty much a frostbite. I think some helmet Picassos. I think it was like they call it like either a nebula or a flurry. They call it a bit of a weird one. We actually call it Fluffy, and she gives us a pretty good bang for buck. She's actually a cracker fish. It doesn't look anything special, but there's a lot of stuff behind the genetic side of it that she gives. But everything else, bar the black storms we got from America back in 2018, we breed in-house. So we kind of closed our doors from bringing anything in after the crash, just to make sure that the crash wasn't anything to do with disease reasons. and until we could at least find out what was happening with what was the crash about. And we found out what the crash was about, but we decided to keep the door shut from anything coming into the facility to try to keep the place as clean as possible. So that way we can offer the best and cleanest fish that you can possibly get in Australia. So probably I'd say about a third of our fish were from fish that we brought in, and the rest of them are what we've created.
Yeah. And how many varieties are you up to now? Obviously, with these being in-house and a couple from export and etc., or import.
Yeah, we're up to 33 different variations across 3 genus types.
Wow.
So,
and what other clowns other than the Ockies have you got?
Well, the in the Ockie range, you've got your standard Ockie, you've got mist bars, you've got extreme mist bars. Some people don't call them designers, and at the end of the day, they are different. And when you're selling and you want that clarity with when you're selling to a shop, you don't want to sell an Ockie to a shop and it's actually a mist bar. We don't get a lot of mist bars because some people actually say they are water quality dependent on the type of how much of a mist bar it is. I don't know how far that goes, but the extreme mist bar is quite a favourite of mine. But we've also got the B grade Da Vinci and the actual Da Vinci's. B grade Da Vinci by no means is anything to do with the quality of the fish. It's how extreme the pattern is. You got the orange snowflake, you've got the frostbites, Wyoming whites, low variant storm, orange storm, Darwins, you've got the mist bar Darwins, you've got the black and white snowflakes, you've got phantoms, which is like a black and white snowflake, but the pattern links into the front stripe. You got black storms, you got photons, you got Mochalaris, you got a mocha snowflake, a Mochalaris. So the questions I was getting at the start when we were supplying a lot of people with some fish, some of your Darwins or your black and white Ocellaris, they don't quite leave always black because they sometimes blacken as they get older. And I was getting messages saying, "Oh, will your Darwins dark? Some of the Darwins aren't quite as dark as the others." And it's like we've got to start doing this whole "what you see is what you get" type of thing. And then, so I don't know if it's something I created or whether I've seen it somewhere, but I started calling a mocha clownfish, standard clownfish, a Mochalaris. Right, so it's a mocha. It's mocha. It's like a coffee color, and the chances are it probably will turn black as it gets older. But at least when you put that on the list and a shop orders a Mochalaris,
do they expect a coffee or?
It kind of sounds like an Italian coffee, doesn't it? But they tend to sort of a lot of our fish do turn dark, so they will probably turn dark. You might get some that stays mocherish for quite some time. But so we started with we called them a Mochalaris. That way there's a lot of transparency with it all, and there's no questions, and they know what they're going to get. And if it turns black, they probably, for some people, they get an upgrade. Same with the mocha snowflake. You got mocha storms, you got super storms, you got snowstorms, and you got these little things called frost storms. And a frost storm and a snowstorm are very similar, but the frost storms have some kind of bullet holes on them, and they're from different parents. So I did a poster in the week with a fish in a bag and had some pretty crazy blue on it, and that was a frost storm. We don't get a lot of them through, so that was something different. But that's all in your Ocellaris range, so they can all go together, no problems. And even if you decide to put in Perks and Ocellarises together, that's still fine. But that's the fair bit in the Ocellaris range. I don't know if there's going to be any more coming through, but I've left some space in case we get the odd weird stuff. We get sometimes some dirty tails coming through and so on, but we're waiting on that weird type of clownfish to come through. But you've got a similar style of clownfish in the perk ranges. You've got perk, mist bar perks, you've got platinums, and platinums are a perk version of your Wyoming white in your Ocellaris range.
All right.
Yeah, and then you've got your snow onyxes. You've got snow onyx snowflake, which is like a perk version of your your snowflake in the Ocellaris range, and then you got your snow onyx frostbite, which is some people call it blizzards, and it's relevant to the Ocellaris frostbite. But then you got low variant Picassos, helmet Picassos, and then you got your Maroons, your gold dots or your Morse code Maroons and gold lightning Maroons. So
Wow.
rounding all that up is 33 different variations across 3 genus types. I believe we can probably squeeze in a couple more as some weird stuff come through, but it's a matter of keeping your eyes open for what's weird. And usually 9 times out of 10, those fish that are more unique or absolutely crazy, they're the ones that get picked on and get killed. So
All right.
yeah, it's just insane. You see some fish coming through and it's like, wow, that's amazing. And then you'll see it just getting picked to death, and it's like, you're kidding me.
It's natural selection, though.
It's natural selection. Well, in the wild, like even though you've got a different in color and pattern, it's still realistically a class of a deformation in a sense. And in the wild, like any animals that are deformed, they get picked off because they're supposed to be the weakest link. So there's no different in captivity, and you just got to keep your eye on it and do what's best for the fish at the end of the day, and try to separate them and try to get something out of it. But I did get one stage. I did get a hybrid fish come through. I got one fish come through between a pair of frostbites and a pair of helmet Picassos. There was a gap under the divider, and they're both spawning at the same time. And I end up with a platinum, absolutely riddled with bullet holes. And I managed to pair that up with a snow onyx, and I got one laying egg batch on it. And for some reason, he dropped, and it must have been something internal. So you just don't know what goes on with some of these breeds from time to time. It's just questionable sometimes what goes on underneath inside the fish.
Yeah. And at any point has Coastal Clownfish, have they gone, let's branch out, let's do other fish, let's go down another path, let's expand?
We did. Before our crash, I was dead set on opening an aquaculture centre. I wanted to have the biggest aquaculture centre as far as fish in Australia. The crash kind of killed that little spark, and we decided at the time to concentrate on the clowns. But we were doing seahorses before the clowns, and at the time I was probably a little bit too prematurely involved with the aquaculture side and not knowledgeable enough. And we sort of didn't get a lot of success with that and had a bit of a break, and then that's when the clownfish came on. But I have tried coral banded shrimp, and they're a different character altogether. I think I got to 5 weeks, but the amount of time I spent with the coral banded shrimp, it sort of took me away from the clownfish, and it was probably putting a little bit too much load on Jade at the time, and I pulled the pin on that little program. But I believe they're so super hard to do. But 5 weeks on the first attempt, I thought that was pretty good. Not really knowing what to do, and just once again just did a little bit of research, but just wanted to learn from mistakes. So, but there was so many of them too. It was crazy.
And so I know you've got like 33 different types of clowns and stuff now, but we've got some newbies that listen to the podcast and stuff, and for you to go through every detail of every different type would take forever. But give everyone a rough breakdown of what the difference between an Occy, a Perk, your Maroons and stuff like that, just so they can maybe have a better idea of which path to go down rather than be, Google tell them which way to go.
Yeah. Well, I'll start off with, let's say probably the historical most aggressive. I don't know really if I believe they are as aggressive as people believe they are. So the maroon clownfish, they're a much bigger clownfish. And I know the clownfish we breed and we have them in with let's say, community. And there's no bickering, there's no fighting. They get along with Ocellaris like nothing else. It may just be a perfect storm that hasn't really erupted. I don't know. But a lot of success with the actual Maroons being quite timid and not as aggressive. They're very flighty as far as their activity and strength. And they're definitely best kept in probably pairs without anything else as far as clownfish, because they are aggressive, but I haven't seen that side of things, but I've heard a lot of stories. But they're a much bigger fish, gorgeous fish, maroon in colour. There's a couple of different variations of it with them. We only do the 3, the gold dot and the gold lightning. You can get a gold nugget, part of the family as well. The percula, which is a true, let's say like the true Nemo, so to speak.
True wild clownfish, would you say?
Wild, yeah. They're probably they're sort of the original, I would class as the original true clownfish. They're the difference between them and, let's say, a normal Ocellaris, which slightly different coloration in the orange, but some call the Ocellaris a false clownfish, because it's, I don't know, it's like I wouldn't say your budget clownfish, but it's not a true clownfish as historically. So there's the difference between, mainly the easiest way to tell them the difference is usually the coloration, but also the iris around the eyes. The Ocellaris are full black eyes, and the pupils in the perculas, original clownfish, would be more smaller pupil and orange around the iris, around the black. So it makes the pupil a lot smaller, so to speak. There's a spinal difference in the top fin, but good luck trying to hold a fish down and start counting them. But
I'm sure you tried
it. Only those nasty ones that are not doing what they're told. But pretty much, what we've experienced, the perks and the ockies, they can sort of go together. The only downside with putting them together is if they breed, you don't have that cleanliness as far as the genetic side. You start creating hybrids, and there's a lot of hybrids happening these days, and we're going to get to a point where if you haven't got an ockie with an ockie and a perk with a perk, so to speak, the actual genetic side of a clownfish, whether it be Ocellaris or perk, it's just going to be so mixed up, and it's going the whole genetic side is going to be so dirty. So we decided just keep everything pretty simple, and even for slight variations in some of these clownfish, people have said, like, I think the snakes are pretty bad for, you got an extra dot somewhere, you can make up a different variant name and so forth. We weren't interested in that. We want to keep things very simple for Australia. If it's got more dots than others, then it's just same. It's same. It's just, it just makes it simple and everyone can understand it. And, as of this week, we have a Fishology Coastal Clownfish ID poster that we've got the graphic artist to design for us, and it's ready for us to pick up on this week. So start off with, we will be giving a copy to every single shop that purchases Coastal Clownfish, and that will help greatly with shops identifying our fish. So
wow, that's a great idea.
Oh, listen, I think that's I'm hoping it's gonna be a little bit of a game changer, because a lot of shops will sort of get our fish now, which I understand why they sort of put them, say a frostbite pair together, a snowflake pair together, ockies in one tank, and then they separate all the fish, which is, I understand why, but sometimes the customer doesn't want to buy 2 frostbites, and if you have them all together and you got them in the tank for a decent amount of time, you're going to run the risk of changing the one of those clownfish to a female over time, and you're not going to be able to mix match. It's going to not end well for the customer if you sell 2 females and without knowing. So to be able to identify a fish and have all the fish together and have your staff being able to identify coastal clownfish based on what the customer wants. They get the pricing right from the costs. I'm hoping it's going to be a bit of a game changer, because when you have all these types of fish together in the same tank, and they should be fine in the same tank in the shop, they look amazing. And those shop owners that know, for some, I don't know what it is with the visual of clownfish or fish. If you walk into a shop and they are stocked with clownfish or any fish, they will move fish. But if you've got a shop that doesn't have much stock, for some reason, that's where the stock stays. People won't buy. I don't know what it is. It's a visual thing, but that's probably why we get so much success at a show, because we take so many fish with us, and it does look pretty spectacular. And there's just that range that people want to choose from. So I'm hoping this identification chart will be a game changer for a lot of shops. It'll help shops help the customer, in terms, well, it'll help Coastal as well.
Yeah, and sorry, Matt, just coming back. So all clownfish start as males, right? That's what are they called? Sequential hermaphrodites. They all start male, and then the most dominant becomes a female. If the shops are pairing these up, how long do they need to be keeping these fish before you might get a female that will become the dominant one? Is there an age, size?
Yeah, well, it's probably speculated, but I've actually had a female. Well, I've put a male in its own tank, had it turn female, paired it up with another fish, and it's laid within 3 months.
Yeah. Oh wow!
Yeah, they're very quick. In the right environment, it's very quick.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping we can start getting some shops to sort of bulk put a heap together. It'll hold them all as juveniles. You might get the odd one that might want to start becoming a little dominant, but by holding more juveniles, we're going to allow the customer to choose their own fish, make their own decisions, and it's like I said, it's hopefully it's going to be a game changer for the whole clownfish section of our industry.
Yeah. And clownfish are those fish, right? I think they're a staple now, right? They're almost what get people into the hobby to some point. Like, I know the movie's done a great job Finding Nemo, but you will see almost everyone that comes into the shop be like, "Where's your clownfish at?" Like, that's what we want. You know, we want to start a tank. That's the first fish we're putting in. And most of the time, even people who are been in the hobby for a while, the clownfish are sometimes the first fish that go in. So, but we know that they're so adaptive as well. So we can have, ockies and perks and stuff in quite small nano tanks, and then your maroons probably do quite well in much larger tanks. What do you think? What is like the perfect type setup for a clownfish?
The perfect type setup is pretty much, I'd say, a tank over, say, 50 litres. And in probably any circumstance, if we're talking the perfect world, we're talking strictly 2 clownfish. You minimise the fighting aspect. They get to do what they naturally do. It's by all means not impossible, and it is done a lot of times where you have a harem, you have multiple clownfish together. They will live, and they should live, quite peacefully. Sometimes you've got to let nature be nature and not intervene, but not for the health of the fish either. You've got to sometimes do have to intervene with the hole and box them and separate them and so forth. But in larger tanks, I have seen probably at least on multiple occasions where people have wanted harems, and they've literally, say, 50 fish or 20 fish, and they've just separated and gone and done their own little territories at either end of the tank, and they've ended up with like 2 harems out of the whole single harem, and they've lived very peacefully. So like you said, Jared, they're so adaptive. Fish are amazingly adaptive to pretty much every single condition, as long as the change is slow.
Yeah.
Fish are so underrated, I believe, as far as a pet, and we need to I think we as an industry need to advertise how easy even saltwater fish are, and providing people are understanding that a change in salt water can be done slowly, these fish are going to be safe in a multitude of conditions.
Yeah, my clowns that I got from you, Matt, I think I shared this with you, but then when they were shipped down, they were actually with the delivery driver to be delivered next day, and they got in the car accident.
That's a crack of a story, yeah.
and they were taken back to the facility, and it was like 3 days later, and I think I didn't realize how hardy they were till I picked them up, and they were still swimming perfect in their bag. There was water everywhere. The box was dented.
I think the courier handed it to you upside down from memory.
Yeah, water coming at the bottom.
Well, I've got to admit, that was in the early days, and I remember I was at work because I worked night shift in town in at the local Coles, and I was running around Coles with my phone out going, where are these fish? I was on the phone to the Aramax company going, you guys better do something with these fish because they're going to die. And there's a lot of stress going on. And, believe it or not, even if the even like now, if we send fish and there's a little bit of a delay, I've still got that stress. That stress doesn't leave you. The stress for the fish, the stress for the customer. I actually had a horrible situation a number of years ago. I think I sent a really, really cool order to Majestic Aquariums, and we always send road freight on a Monday. And I remember Paul going, so how's this? I think it might have been Paul's first order, I think, from Majestics, and from us, how's this Aramax work? I said, oh, mate, they're awesome. They're normally next day or a day after, 2 days. And in this circumstance, he contacts me. I think it was a Thursday, going, mate, I don't know if these fish are going to turn up. And I've gone, yeah, mate, unfortunately, you might just have to wipe that invoice I've sent you, and we'll just have to write it off, unfortunately. And I was on the phone to Aramax trying to chase these fish down, and I get a message on the Friday afternoon from Paul going, they've turned up and they're alive. Just leave it with me. And he messages me on the Monday saying they're all good, mate. So keep that invoice coming through. So it goes to show, if fish are extremely strong, well, I was going to say, I've got to say, coastal clownfish are extremely strong, we pack them extremely well for more than what they need to travel with. We probably have been caught out a couple of times, whether it be really cold weather or the courier sort of messes up a little bit, but for the most case, we haven't had a lot of losses with our freight system. So it's, a lot of care goes into packing these things, and we want these guys to arrive alive all the time. And there's a lot of stress still goes on with the whole freight side of things, Sam. So it wasn't just that one-off for you. It's but that was a pretty cool. That was a little experience for us to sort of go. No, the van got T-boned in a roundabout or something.
Yeah, that's right.
It's nuts.
Crazy.
Another one I wanted to ask, just on behalf of newbies and stuff like that. I'm far from one, but I thought I'd help them out. Even when I see some of the other collectors lists and stuff, like these sometimes are sold as anemone fish, right? But they don't always need anemones to survive, and especially in our tanks, right, where we're a closed system. So give us a little bit of insight on what it looks like for an ideal kind of setup. Like, we don't need coral and stuff for some of these fish, do we?
No, not at all. They do have a symbiotic relationship between the coral. They can also be hosted by a lot of other different types of corals, not just anemones. They are in a family of anemone fish, and they are resilient to the sting of anemones. But our fish have never seen I'll refrain that. Our offspring have never seen an anemone until they reach your tank. And we've had a lot of reports, and in most cases, nearly all the reports of people wanting clownfish to go into the anemone, eventually they will go in there, and sometimes straight away. And the instinct they have to go into an anemone is insane. So they will go into an anemone, but they don't need an enemy to survive. And they just need a basic setup. You can spend as little and as much on a setup to house a pair of clownfish or multiple clownfish, if that's what you want. And really, you could $100, couple $100 will get you a setup, especially if you buy a tank off marketplace. And there's a lot of really good tanks you can buy from a shop that can allow you to set up on your kitchen bench, really. And I think it's important that the newbies do understand you don't have to spend the thousands of dollars on your next, the greatest Cade or water box, and have all your top brand lights and wave makers. That's, if you want, by all means, go for that. A lot of people do love those sort of technologies, but they're not essential. And sure, they might make the bigger tanks life a little bit easier with all your automations. But as far as having, if you're a family and you just want a pair of clownfish for your kids, you don't need to spend much money at all. It's quite a cheap venture. You'd be spending more probably. Why don't you spend more on your maintenance? Like, you don't need a lot of maintenance on these things. You just got to learn how to keep them.
Yeah, because the reason why I ask is I don't even know what episode it was now. We spoke about is reefing affordable, and we spoke a little bit about what an affordable setup kind of looks like, and I even talk about it a little bit with friends and shops and stuff like that. And the common thing that we always kind of go to is just start yourself up with a nano clownfish system. They don't need a lot. They're pretty resilient. Some water, some rocks, some sand, a couple of clowns. That's about all you need.
And realistically, I also tell a lot of people through my maintenance days, they always ask, is it hard to keep salt water? And the best way I used to explain to a lot of the guys that just do fresh water and they want to maybe venture into salt water, but they're so scared that they're going to kill everything, is the only real difference between salt water and fresh water is the salt, a bit more extra flow, and the gravel, the ornaments or whatever you want to put into the tank. If you did the same thing you're supposed to do on fresh water with salt water, you'd be right. Just that fresh water is probably a bit more forgiving, to be a bit more negligent with it. But there's no real difference between the whole fresh and salt side of things. So if you're a freshwater enthusiast and you go, I'd really love to try to do a saltwater tank, don't be scared, because it's not that hard. It doesn't take as much time. And it's literally a bit more flow because there's less oxygen in the salt, because it's more dense. And just change the gravel. Put salt water in. Yeah.
As long as it's table salt. No table salt.
Well, that's depends. I saw a video of cutting open an Ocellaris on one of those socials once, and they're probably using table salt, but that's pretty disgusting, really.
Yeah. I get a couple of questions from the kids being like, so with the saltwater tank, do you just like get table salt with the cracker and just crunch, just get it in the tank? How much are you putting in? I'm like, 3.5 kilos. No, I'm just kidding. You do not use table salt. There's special artificial salt for it. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. But it's not expensive at all, and I think everybody at some stage, and they need to sort of experience the salt side of things. If they've been in an aquarium for a long period of time and only done freshwater, have a go at your salt. I'll be surprised if you turn back.
Yeah, they're the perfect segue fish, I think. Like, if you have always looked at salt and gone, that's a one-day thing. I'm happy with my freshwater for now. I've got this sorted. I think that the clownfish, you're definitely your segue into the saltwater side. You can end it right there and just be happy with your clowns. But
for sure,
from there on, you could probably get yourself a couple of corals or a nem or something like that, which then may get you a little bit further into it. But I often talk to people where they're just like, they see some of the tanks that we run in shops. They hear about some of the tanks we personally have at home, and they're kind of a little bit daunted by what's included in all of that kind of stuff, where, the clownfish tank can be quite basic, quite easy, quite inexpensive, easy to get into, easy to look after. And I think a lot of people should have a go at it for real. Yeah,
I agree. They really should. And, even the clownfish, they get along with pretty much everything.
yeah,
Okay, there's other things that won't get along with the clownfish, but that's not the clownfish's fault. That's more aggressive from the other fish. But a clownfish, how often do you see a clownfish ripping into another fish? It's like you go to a massive party and there's always that couple that everybody loves and no one has anything bad to say about it. That's what a clownfish is in a reef tank. Is like the clownfish is awesome. Okay, it might tip over a coral, but you know what? That's what they do, and so on. But like they don't annoy anyone.
Just keen for a good time.
They want a good feed and hang out.
they do love fingers and hands though, don't they? Sometimes.
Oh, well, yeah. I know. I get Jay to pull the eggs, and she's got a few blood cuts on her hand from it all. So yeah.
Doesn't hurt. It just kind of startles you.
Shocks you. Bang! It smashes. Yeah.
Hitting. They get you. Yeah.
I've never had a clown. I've never had a clown bite me, so I don't know.
Oh, really? You're missing out.
We had a there in our coral bay, and we're just putting coral in and out of there all the time. And there was a female in there, and she would let you know that she's in there. You'd forget about her, but she'd let you know that she's there still. Nothing like it doesn't hurt, but you just don't expect to be hit by anything. You're like, oh, what was that?
And the funny thing is, especially when they're on eggs, they get a bit more, they're protecting their eggs, which you'd expect, but they tend to sort of go for that real soft, loose part of your hand, the skin. They don't hit a knuckle or anything like that. They go for that really in between your fingers, or and they just sometimes have been known to grab hold of your skin and sort of shake you a little bit like a pitbull. And that's literally no exaggeration. It's like they can be a bit like that, but they're protecting the young as well. So
my favorite thing with clownfish, right, is almost every tank that you look at, no matter who they are, however long they've been in the hobby, they have clownfish in their tank. And a lot of the time, those clownfish have come from multiple tanks. Like in my last system, my Cade, I had a pair of Picassas that had come from a few tanks previous to that, and then came into that tank. And I see, I've spoken to heaps of people. I'm like, oh, those clowns look like they're part of the family. He's like, yeah, we've had those clowns for 8 years. They've been in this tank, that tank when we first started with the nanos. So they just kind of, as you evolve with the hobby, the clowns come with you.
Yeah, 100%. 52 years old. That's hanging around. That's hanging around a bit, isn't it? I wonder how many times that thing's been transferred from tank to tank.
Yeah.
Imagine calculating the cost of food over those 52 years.
Oh my goodness!
The tank upgrades they've had, and
those sort of things. A decent adult maroon, they can consume a lot of food. I mean, you're feeding upwards of 6 times a day. That's a lot of food these big maroons can sort of consume. So over 50 odd years. My goodness, yeah.
Yeah. What food choice for your clowns do you reckon, Matt?
Okay, so whether you're breeding clowns or whether you're just keeping clowns, or any fish at all, I've always been advocate of change or have so many different ranges of foods available. Treat it like if we were to eat meat and only meat, we're going to be deficient in other areas. So meat's a good source for us, but we also need other things. Same if you don't eat meat, you're going to be iron deficient, so forth. The same for a fish. These man-made pellets we get, they're great. We use Ocean Nutrition, Vitalis, Aquaforest Tiny Food, Tropical Clownfish Food. We use a range of different types of foods. We soak our foods. These fish are getting absolutely everything. If they're not getting something, then I don't know about it at the end of the day. And a lot of it has to do with when you expect your fish to lay sometimes every 10 days, you could imagine the stresses and energy source is taken out of that fish to try to produce those eggs internally, lay those eggs, the male to spawn over the eggs every 10 to 12 days. That's taking a lot of energy to do. So you need those nutrients. So at the end of the day, if you get a real good quality pellet, probably going to be close to being enough, but don't stop there. Mix it up. You get a couple of different types of pellets. Make yourself a little mix. Do a teaspoon of this, teaspoon of that, and that's your feed for the for whether it be a month or so, and sprinkle it in, because don't be scared of a bit of brine and mysis and fresh. Learn how to hatch your own brine shrimp, Artemia, because that first after they come out of that shell, the nutrition in the Artemia with their egg sac is so crucial. It's feed them freshly hatched brine shrimp. It's good for them.
Yeah. Great
So
suggestions.
massive ranges. Yeah.
Nice.
Right. Now, if you could breed anything right now, coastal clown, whether it be a clownfish or whatever, what would you take on? What would be the next thing?
Oh my goodness. Are we assuming that knowledge is already there?
Yeah, knowledge is there,
Okay.
and money's no
Money's
option.
no issue. Yeah.
Money's no issue. Okay. I've always been a bit fascinated with, say, weedy sea dragons. Those
Right.
the big ones that carry their own eggs on board. I love them. You can't go wrong. I love a good Panada spatfish. Nice black with that orange around that. They're a gorgeous fish. But
They get big though, don't they? The batfish.
they get massive,
Yeah.
massive,
Yeah.
big fish. So the demand would be great for the start of it all, but yeah, if they last. Problem is, we also run the reef tanks, so a lot of fish can be nippy on fins and so forth. So anything with long fins can sometimes get nipped. So they won't probably last all that long, and usually they don't. They're best left on the reef anyway. Panada spatfish, bit like your butterflies. But I really don't know. I don't have something that I would definitely say I love to do that type of thing. But if you're talking clownfish, I think at the moment I'd love to do it like a peacekeeper. They're the maroon genus type, and they're the most ugliest clownfish you'll come across, with a massive pattern, but there's attraction to it. I don't know what it is. So Google yourself a peacekeeper maroon clownfish. It's there are not many around. I think they were, if I'm correct, they were done in Israel or something, or overseas originally. There was only the one creator for it, and it didn't really go too far. And I did get offered from, I think, an American guy that was doing a knockoff, and he was getting pretty close to the quality of the mash of the patterns, but he wanted something like $6 or $8 a fish or something.
Really?
And
Wow.
yeah, it's just there's a bit of a price tag to them, but there's something about those peacekeepers that I've always liked, even when I was checking them out back when the Black Storms were released, and they were trying to figure out the name. I think the Black Storms originally were going to call Juggalos. But yeah, I'm glad they kind of went for the Black Storms. I don't know what they call the Mocha or the Orange Storms or the Super Storms. It would have sort of ended at the Black Storm.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to put the name on a fish shot, would you? Put the fish in and be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't put that name on.
We should have changed that name. Yeah, that wasn't a good name, but they nailed the Black Storm. So yeah, that was probably one of the biggest turning points, I think. The world saw as far as aquaculture clownfish. It was such a big thing back into end of 2017. So hats off to the guys that did that, because a lot of years in the making. But the biggest thing would have to be the yellow tangs, the aquaculture of yellow tangs, and now the angels and so forth. So I know a lot of time and money went into the study of the aquaculture of yellow tangs. So a lot of the companies were sharing information because they just didn't know what they needed and so forth. But good to see they've actually finally got it.
So what's next for you guys? Have you got anything new on the horizon?
Okay, next for Coastal Clownfish. Realistically, it's pretty much the same, but probably better. I'm not going to lie. I'd love to get to a point where we are Um, as horrible as this sounds, and Jay doesn't like me talking like this, but I'd love to not solely, but pretty much dominate Australia as far as clownfish supplying, but keep it very responsible. So not your typical like your big supermarkets where they can name any price they want. I hate that. I'm an advocate for the industry. So to have um, the be pretty much the biggest in Australia doing the clownfish, and so everyone Coastal Clownfish is a household name. So that way we can sort of dictate the pricing to the point where it's probably a lot more structured and reasonable for the end user. That's our goal. There's still a long way to go. I think we're sitting on like 47 to 48 48 pairs of clownfish in our facility. That's a lot of mouths to feed and look after, but they're not all laying. So we've got a long way to go before we are tapped out. But we're just probably this year at a point where we go, right, we might have too much of this fish, so we can pull back on taking those fish. And that's where the responsible breeding of clownfish come into it, because if you oversupply the market, all you're going to force is the devaluing of the fish. And with the costs of Australia to do this sort of thing, the last thing you need to do is devalue the fish, because there's no sustainability for clownfish breeding in Australia. And that goes for every type of breeding. You've really got to be on top of the game as far as the market for pricing, the demand, and so forth. And I'm all over the socials as far as what's coming in, what's not coming in. It's very rare that I miss something. If I miss something, I've got some pretty close friends that will send stuff to me. I know what the imports are coming in at price-wise. I know we're better than the imports price-wise. The only difference is there's so many people overseas doing it. There's probably more numbers that can come in. And the biggest downside to that, the more numbers that come in, you are oversupplying the country with certain clownfish that you can already get here in Australia, and it's not helping the Australian market. It really isn't. It's a silly thing to do to import multitude amounts of clownfish you can already get here. I'm not saying not to import any in, because I'm a big advocate for imports, but as long as it's done responsibly. There's got to be a responsible part of bringing fish in, and the same with breeders. You can't just keep supplying for the sake of supplying, thinking you're going to keep getting money for it, because it's not all about money. You've got to look after the industry. It's so crucial. But for us, it's continuing on the quality. I think we can probably even get a bit better in quality as we grow. The numbers for certain types of variants, probably maybe looking at maybe slightly reducing prices. Hopefully, if the market stays strong, if we can ride out this new way of the interest rates and the electricity prices in Australia, that's going to hurt us a little bit, but I think those who ride it out are going to be fine. But for us, try to get a couple more variations on board. Hopefully it's something we can probably create something of our own. That's just going to be by accident, because everything is sort of almost taken care of. There's not a lot. Probably a bit of merch. Probably just looking after the shops. At the end of the day, looking after shops, and I want to be a bit more active within the industry. We need to sort of try to grow the industry together. For the most part, the industry is together. There's a couple that are probably questionable whether they're in the industry or whether they're actually in it for themselves. I think we need to make sure, we can't make sure, but like we need to sort of try to be a little more grouped and be team orientated as far as the industry is concerned, because it's quite a volatile industry and it won't take much to upset it. So as far as Coastal is concerned, we want to try to do what is best for the industry, the survival of our industry, and predominantly making sure our shops across Australia are strong enough to survive the any storms that can come across. So what we can do by helping shops out, whether it be, if we've got to give some fish to the shop because they need displays or run competitions or stuff like that, we do that a lot. If we've got enough fish here, we'll supply a shop with a free pair so they can run a competition and promote their store. So that's, I think, the important things. But for us, it's business as usual, but hopefully a bit better and more in your face.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I fully agree with you on the uniting the industry type thing, and it's part of the reason why we have this podcast as well, because we just enjoy talking about the hobby and everything that's included with it. So yeah, I'm on board with that, and I hope more people can be as well. Now, when we got you on, we needed to be pretty mindful that we weren't going to kind of ask you about all of your little tips and tricks on, how to make something, spawn and breed and all those types of things. But what kind of advice would you give someone who's going, all right, I think it's time for me to take the plunge, and, it may not be, breeding, clownfish or anything. It might be, a business based around breeding of some sort. Where do they start? What do you think?
Well, we've got to start somewhere. So for those who, let's go. There's a lot of people out there trying to do something, and unfortunately, they're sort of nicknamed the backyarders. To a certain extent, I don't agree with the terminology of backyarders, because backyarders will start to insinuate they're not doing it correctly. You've got to learn somewhere, and even the shop at some stage probably did it out of their garage or did it, and now we've got it online and so forth. So you've got to start somewhere, but do your market research to start with, because at the end of the day, for people, let's say you're in Australia and you want to start doing, I think doing what Coastal Clownfish is doing is pretty cool. That's all good and well, but we're running at 33 different variations. Maybe check on what variations we're doing and what our plans are, because if you have aspirations to be, say, for instance, a decent clownfish breeder in Australia, you might be cut a little short if you find out later on that a lot of shops are using a coastal clownfish, and there might not be a room. There is still room for clownfish, by all means. But we're not finished yet, and the worst thing you could do is sort of come in and go, okay, so Coastal Clownfish has a bit of a monopoly on the market. I reckon I'll do it cheaper to try to undercut them. But all that's going to do is you're going to realize you're putting so much effort into doing clownfish or anything really, and it might last a year, because it's going to take a year to build stock up, at least once you nail it. And once you've started selling it off, you go, is this what I'm getting from it? That's not the point. There's no point, and you've already done the damage in the industry. So market research is so crucial when you're starting a business, whether it be just in dry goods, livestock, whatever. Do your market research and find out, talk to people, get a feel for the industry, get your name out there, start somewhere, but really find out what's involved with doing it. Fish breeding isn't as glamorous as it seems. It's great for us now because we've sort of ticked a lot of boxes and sort of worked hard and got a name out. But back in the day, man, no one wanted to touch us. When we first started, I was sending lists out going, why is no one buying any fish? What's wrong? Like, what are we doing wrong and stuff like that? But eventually, because we persisted, we kind of cracked that side of things. So the hard part is people kind of want it now. Don't be scared of the hard work and the mistakes, because those mistakes, they're part of the journey. They will shape you for later on. And any problems you may incur, you need to be able to solve that, because you can be told exactly how to do it, but once it changes and you got to think on your feet and you don't know what to do because, how will they react? You don't have that experience. So instead of going out and going, right, what's the next step? What's this step? What's this step doing this? Whether it be freshwater, saltwater, doesn't really matter what you're doing. Learn, understand what you're doing and learn for yourself, because that journey really will pay dividends later on as far as your experience. And, difference between us and pretty much everyone else, I think we've counted upwards of like 14 different businesses that try to sort of do clownfish in Australia since we've started. The only difference is, man, I just don't give up. End of the day, I just do not give up. It's same. It's business is the same as breeding. It's same as the gym culture. You just don't give up. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you do it long enough, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the hours that go into running a facility like yours.
I think for 5 years I was doing 80 hours a week between Coastal and my job. That's why in that period is why I sort of lost 3 years of memory outside of Coastal. Now it's not so bad, but when you're starting to look at, it's not just the clownfish that you're dealing with. The water chemistry, the food. I spend a solid hour every day doing rotifers. And you have to do it every single day. If you let it go, then you're not going to have any food left. You're going to crash. So then you got the social media aspects. You got the admin aspects with the tax and the business running. There's a lot of hours you got to sort of put in and get a structure going, because it's not that simple to have a business in Australia, especially when you're talking livestock. And there's a lot of pressure on to break even, and a lot of fish to sell to, like I said earlier, there's only two of us doing this, and there's no money to bring anyone else into the mix. So you've got no choice but to put those hours in. And as it is, I've got to go out after the tonight. We're getting close to 10 o'clock at night, and I've got to go out and sort the fish out, after this. So it just doesn't stop. It does not stop. You don't want it to stop, because if it stops, then the fish dies. So
you don't want that.
You don't want that. So you've got to be prepared, and a lot of people aren't prepared to sacrifice holidays. Like I said, we sacrifice. We don't get a day off. So I came down to Sydney for the bus trip to be there predominantly to have a day off. I was lucky Jade was able to look after the place for me while I was away, and take over my roles. But it gave me a chance to have a day off from just doing rotifers. Like it's sort of, it's just like the same thing, but every single day of the year, it sort of starts to get a little bit on top of you. And it'll really get on top of you if you keep getting knocked back, because no one wants to buy from you, because you haven't done your market research, and your pricing structure's wrong. You haven't got the quality of the fish. So just do yourselves a favor and do your research beforehand. Learn how to do live foods. Just do your research. That's the biggest thing. And don't think that by any means you're going to break it and make it in the first year. It took us 8 years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, good advice, mate. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And if I was to do it again, I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I would not do this again.
Wow.
It's great, and I love doing it. I've got so much passion for it. And pack days when I see fish, like you saw me on a live stream on TikTok, Jared, doing your order, and I get so excited when I'm packing the fish, because I get to see some real cool stuff, and that's where my fish nerdiness comes out of. But like you think it's hard when you have a crash or a failure with your home tanks and stuff like that. And imagine, having a major problem within your facility and your breeding program that you need to make money from to pay the bills next month, and you've just lost everything. It's pretty devastating, and it's really it tears at your heartstrings, and you want to quit. Most people would just quit.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of discipline to keep running with it.
Well, we're glad that you and Jade have stuck with it, because you've got a fairly solid business now, and you've got plenty of shops buying stock, and the stock that are coming through. Like, we got our shipment last week. I put some pictures and videos up, and the stuff that came were, next level, mate. And from
Thanks.
what everyone says, it is all top notch stuff. So yeah, we appreciate what you do.
Oh, and we appreciate the shops, putting the trust in Coastal Clownfish. And, we starting to get a couple of shops that are starting to advertise the clowns, like you guys did. And I've been advocating that for quite a number of years, because it's sort of been left up to Coastal Clownfish to do the advertising for clowns and and try to get the word of clowns and market the clowns in a way. And it's a big responsibility to try to market for a shop when you're a supplier already and you got your own stuff you need to do. It's all good. You can sort of use it as a post, so to speak, but sometimes you just don't have time to take videos and so forth just to try to promote a shop when you've already sort of supplied them already and so forth. So now we get a couple of shops that sort of taken on board that they're showing their clowns probably the way I would say that they deserve to be shown. So it's really, really nice to see some shops putting some really good effort into displaying their stock as far as livestock, because like there's a lot going on with displaying corals, but not a lot when it comes to clowns. So and everyone's seen a lot of videos of clowns, and they do like the videos of clowns because we get we get a fair bit on the on our socials, and they enjoy what we post. So it's important to sort of try to help market for shops for themselves as well. We'll continue doing it, and I think we just started doing some live streams on Facebook for pack days, and I think that's might help the shop out a bit too, and sort of makes it a bit more exciting for us when we're packing our fish, instead of just Jade and I just going, oh yeah, it's another fish and so forth, and talking a bit of crap. But now we've got multiple people online and asking questions, and we can talk about it, and it's actually been quite nice, and sort of helps with the excitement of it all.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching that little TikTok live stream that you had going on. That was fun.
Yeah,
cool.
I've got in a couple of them as well, and I think social media is so imperative as well, so the customers can see what you're actually bagging and where you're sending it and go, oh, that's near me. I want to go check them out in person.
Well, could you imagine if you're a shop and we're bagging up your order, and I'm showing you the live stream a handful of the fish you're getting, and the people on the other end are going, you know what? They're my LFS, and I like that fish. I'm going to go
100%.
and get that fish even before it lands. So
Yeah.
you're not even holding it. And, that's the idea. Is we did one for the tech den on Monday. I'm hoping that there's a lot of success. All we want is a tech den, or any shop, for instance, to be able to be successful in moving our fish and get those fish out and showcasing the fish the way they deserve to be showcased. So we can share what we do with everyone in the industry.
Yeah.
So if you're not a customer of Coastal Clownfish, I suggest you sort of jump on board, because if we're going to continue these live streams, it's going to be good. It's I'm looking forward to doing more live streams. So help us help you.
It'd be awesome to have like those live streams with like a heap of people in there as well, and just like a little bit of an online party type thing. Yeah.
And a beer and.
Well, let's hopefully we can get some going. The hard part's probably the timing. We get a lot of people from overseas joining us, which is pretty cool, because I've helped a lot of people from Iran and so forth breeding fish. But it's insane. Mexico and the US wants our fish, and I think we'd probably be okay if we wanted to export our fish, because we get probably asked at least once a week if we can send our fish overseas, but not on the radar as yet, because let's fulfill and take care of our home soil first.
Yeah.
And if it gets to the point that we're not getting supported in the home soil, maybe we'll look at sending overseas. But at the moment, we are absolutely blessed with the shops we've got, and the people in Australia really, really looking after Coastal Clownfish, and doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah. That's pretty much all the questions that Sam and I have for you, but we got a little surprise. You hit us up just before we come on air that you got a little bit of a surprise for the listeners.
Yeah. Let's
hit him, Matt.
hit him. So we decided. So let's put it out there. So Coastal Clownfish breed a certain amount of different variations of how has been mentioned in the podcast. So what we require listeners to do is jump on the Submerged Podcast Facebook page. Make sure you're following that page. Make sure you're following the Coastal Clownfish Facebook pages also. And I'll need you to answer this question. How many different types of clownfish do Coastal Clownfish breed? It's going to be a simple one. And if you can answer that question. And you are the first person to answer that question.
What do they get, Matt?
What do they get? Well, tell them what they get.
Yeah,
they get a pair of clownfish free of charge. Any clownfish they require, they would like, providing it is in stock, with free freight. So thank you to the Submerged podcast. They'll take care of a portion of that freight as well. Thank you very much. We'll take care of the rest of the freight, and we'll take care of packaging and sending off those fish. Now, one of the stipulations we need to look at is the safety of these fish. So preferably a metro area. If you're not a metro area, see if you can organise, if you do become successful with this competition, make sure you can get it sent to a metro area, because we do not want to send a fish, since that's called rural, in the middle of Queensland or anywhere else that requires 5 days of travel. I'm already stressed enough. I don't need to keep sending fish to the place just because you've won, and knowing quite well it's probably not going to survive. So that won't happen. So let's make sure we are in a sensible area where we can send the fish. So let's think of the health of the fish. So preferably metro. But guys, jump on the Facebook page for Submerged. Make sure you're following our page. The first person to answer, once this podcast goes live, you'll get yourself a pair of free clowns of any style that we have in stock.
Yes, excellent.
Wow.
So this podcast will hit the air on the 28th of February. We will do a bit of a post on Facebook on the 4th of March, giving everyone the chance to win. So obviously, if you're listening to this now and it's before the 4th of March, you have time to listen to the entire episode. Well, you probably already have if you're doing this.
If you're with us now.
If you're with us now. And then, you'll know the answer because you would have been paying attention. You would have already heard the answer within the podcast. And throw your answer down. The quickest one wins. Matt, we could probably also do something whereas if you are in a bit of a rural area and you do travel to a local fish shop and they are a Coastal Clownfish buyer, we could probably tee something up with that local fish shop.
I'm sure the fish shop won't mind. Yeah.
Otherwise, if you are in a rural area, it might be a bit tough. But and it's also only Australia wide.
Yes.
We cannot get one overseas to you. It's not possible. We know we have a few international listeners, and I'm sure they're going to ask. But thank you very much for throwing that up on offer. Pretty exciting.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Jade, too.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, excellent. Stay on the socials, watch this space, but also, like Matt said, jump on the Coastal Clownfish Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Same with the Submerge. We've got
your YouTube channel.
Yes. Yep.
I haven't done much on that YouTube channel recently, so it's a bit outdated. But you know what? You jump on and have a laugh.
Yeah. And also jump on all the Submerged channels as well. So we're on Facebook, Insta, TikTok, maybe to come down the track if I can talk Sam's into dancing in front of the camera and stuff.
I'll do a cartwheel, mate.
Yeah, tell your mates about the podcast too, guys. Like, share it around. It's something we are very blessed to have something in Australia that, Jared and Sam Parker and Sam Philp and even when if Hadley comes back, it's sort of put together. So, don't be a bit oblivious saying, it's going to get out there. Just, really give it a good share, guys. This is how this sort of things take off. And, the more it takes off, the more you're able to win more stuff just by listening. Yeah,
that's right. And there's all kinds of content too. I know not everything is for everyone, right? It'd be very hard to do that, but there's something that may, tickle your fancy, through many episodes and stuff. Some are very basic, some are very intricate, and it's not going to appeal to all, but we try to, and we're even actually at the end, towards the middle to end of the year, we're actually going to do a for the fans type episode where the fans can ask pretty much all of the questions, and all of the entire episode will revolve around the fans and what they want to hear. So
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people kind of, messaging through saying, I would love you to talk about this. And, we'll eventually get around to all those things. We hope to be in this for the long haul. So potentially if you throw in an idea out there, we may get to it at some point. So yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah, don't hesitate.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And you know what, Jared? Just contact us after the show, mate, and we'll talk about how Coastal can sponsor you guys a bit more to make sure this keeps going.
Yeah, we appreciate everything that you and Jade and Coastal Clownfish do for us and the industry and us as individuals as well. But I think if you're a shop and you're listening to this and you currently don't get Coastal Clowns, get in touch with Matt and see what it takes to get some clownfish, because it's for us at Bespoke, it's a pretty seamless process. It's pretty easy. The fish sell well. It's a no-brainer for us. So I don't know why other shops don't get them in. So yeah. Get in touch.
Especially when they're top quality.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, definitely. And you know what? We always have a very strict DOA policy, so we don't want anyone to go if the unsightly thing happens and we lose a fish through transit. You're not out of pocket. So that's a key thing, and it's not fair that if anyone loses anything through transit that you're receiving anything unalive, and you're out of pocket. So Coastal Clownfish will always deem to try to look after everybody where we can.
Yep.
We stand by it.
Well, that's all we've got time for in this episode. I've forgotten what episode we're up to. 22.
22, right? Yeah.
22, yeah. We have episode 23 coming up in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, thank you very much for being on the episode. I learned a lot today. I always enjoy learning things, and potentially have you back again in the future to talk about something other than clownfish, maybe.
Oh, listen, yeah, maybe Sam Parker can be on this time, because I've got small feet compared to Sam. I can't fill those shoes, dude. So, Sam, if you're just listening, I'm sure you are. We miss you, and you know what? I hope I've done all right. So,
you've been a great fill-in, mate. You did great.
Yeah, I actually closed my eyes a few times, and I thought it was Sam Parker. So.
Oh, come on now.
Anyway, all right, that's all we've got time for. We'll catch everyone on the next episode 23. Talk to you all then. See ya. Bye.
Thanks for having us.
See you guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to catch us again in a fortnight for the next episode. Find us on all our socials for more updates.